Hey there, homeowners. Remember, like and subscribe today. We're diving into a complex issue that hits close to home. Quite literally, imagine living in a neighborhood that's constantly threatened by climate change. Streets have flooded multiple times during recent storms, and things are only going to get worse. The city has had to send emergency responders into dangerous waters, and public money is repeatedly used to rebuild the infrastructure. Worst case scenario, residents could be killed before help arrives. Now, the city has a plan to buy out the block using government funds, destroy the homes, and leave an empty stretch of land to absorb future floods. Some residents agree to leave, but many refuse, arguing they have a deep connection to the area. They believe the city should build flood walls or retention lakes instead. If even a few homeowners stay, the city remains responsible for future rescues and repairs. To break the deadlock, the city decides to use eminent domain to oust the holdouts. Tough situation, right? Whose side are you on? Remember, like and subscribe. After more than 5 years of covering how the US is adapting to climate change, I've seen many cases like this. Government efforts to implement a managed retreat from vulnerable areas often clash with the property rights and deep emotional ties of homeowners who don't want to move. These struggles have played out across the country, from poor communities along the Mississippi River to wealthy cliffside neighborhoods in California, affecting everyone from historically Black neighborhoods to new suburban developments. When I discuss these stories with readers and friends, I find that people's reactions depend a lot on who lives in the flood-prone community. If it's a coastal city trying to buy out wealthy beachfront homeowners, people tend to side with the government. If it's a low-income or middle-class neighborhood, people often side with the residents. Sometimes we decide that private property rights trump the public interest, and other times we decide the opposite, even when the underlying climate risk is the same. Your response to this mental exercise was likely influenced by what kind of community you imagined the buyout neighborhood to be. The US government has funded thousands of home buyouts nationwide, with varying degrees of controversy. Even after all these cases, there's no clear guide for when it's right for a government to force someone from their home for climate adaptation. This issue goes beyond managing budgets and political backlash. The goal of climate adaptation is not just to prevent future suffering, but to build more resilient and better functioning communities. When residents in vulnerable areas challenge retreat, they argue that moving would cause more suffering than staying in a risky area, and that their community can only thrive if they remain where they are. As the US and other countries grapple with worsening extreme weather events and the political crises they create, governments must ensure their proposed solutions are alleviating the damage of a warming world, not making it worse. This question involves far more than just managing government budgets and political blowback. It's about building a society that can thrive even in the face of climate change. So, next time you hear about a government buyout or a managed retreat, remember that behind every decision, there are real people with real homes and lives at stake. Until we find a more comprehensive way to adapt to our changing world, these tough choices will continue to shape our communities and our future. Thanks for listening and stay safe out there. Remember, like and subscribe.